Hi guys! Right, I hope you saw my last video, which was on fossils. Today I'm going to talk about evolution because you see, if we had travelled back in that time machine and we'd seen all the different things that were on the planet, things would look really different than they do today. So I thought I'd discuss about how things change over time, and that is the theory of evolution. So I know year two have been learning about super cool scientists. Now, there is a super cool scientist called Charles Darwin who wrote a book called On the Origin of Species, and he basically came up with the theory of evolution. You can see a picture of him here. There was another guy called Alfred Russel Wallace who also came up with it at the same time, but he's not as famous for it for some reason. People seem to read more into Darwin's work, so Charles Darwin is the most famous person when you think of evolution. And his story starts when he went on this ship called the HMS Beagle. And he travelled down to the Galapagos Islands. Now, the Galapagos Islands are near the equator. So if you imagine the Earth being a globe like this, and you were to draw an imaginary line around the middle, that would be the equator. So he went on this big ship and he was studying the animals and the fossils. And he in particular noticed something strange about the finches, which are these birds that were there. So if you look at this picture here, you can see how they've all got different shaped beaks. Look. So when Darwin was on the Galapagos Islands, he noticed that these beaks were in different shapes on the finches, in different areas. So he noticed that there was these ones with really long beaks, and they were the ones that stuck their beak inside the tree to get like grubs and insects and things. So they needed that shape to get their food, whereas they've got ones that were a bit more shorter, stumpy beaks, and they were the ones that were eating berries and things. So they basically got the beak shape to whatever they needed to eat. So he thought this is why they've changed over time to suit their environment where they are. Yeah, this is why I've changed my environment today, because normally when I do your videos, I'm in the kitchen, but I've changed my environment and today I am in my lounge because the environment is the area around you. So basically, Charles Darwin went home and he thought about all these findings that he'd seen, and he wrote a book called On the Origin of Species, and he became really well known for evolution. So I've got a little diagram that I can show to you, which will help you understand evolution, I think. So I'm going to have to do some drawing for you. I am not the best drawer in the world, artiste, but I will try my best. Right, so you've got some trees. And on these trees, you have some moths, right? Some speckled moths. Now, you can't actually see those moths very well on the trees, can you? No. So they survive quite well. The birds don't come down and eat them, and they're happy. But if I was to draw a line down the centre of this page here, and you imagine that this side is in the countryside and this side is in the city. So along came the Industrial Revolution, and basically they built a load of factories everywhere. Now these factories had big chimneys and loads of dirty smoke coming out the top, all coming out everywhere. Everything got stained black with soot. So that included the trees. So basically, if the trees then turn black with soot, what do you notice? You can see the moth all of a sudden, can't you? Yes, so the birds come down and eat the moths, okay? Now, these moths are made up, just like us, with DNA. Now, DNA can change. It has these things called mutations. DNA is basically like your Lego blocks that make you up. And sometimes there's changes in there, and they get darker, some of these moths. Now, the dark ones would survive, and the lighter ones would get eaten more easily. So over time, the darker ones survive more and go on to have more darker babies. And eventually, over time, only the dark ones survive. So the moths become black. Now, what do you notice? They can't be seen on the tree. So that means that those moths can survive. So basically, The moths in the countryside, they've stayed white because they needed to stay white because the trees are still speckled, you know, because the tree's like kind of speckled. It blends in, doesn't it? There, you can see the speckled one and then the black one. But then on a black tree, the black one blends in. So he survives better there. And that's down to his environment, as I say, which is the area around you that you live in. So like my environment now is my lounge, isn't it? Yeah. So that is my easy way to explain evolution. And what I would love you to do is if you could draw that story and write about it into your school books for your teachers, I think they'd be really impressed. And I'd love to see pictures. If you could send one to me, either email the one to me on uwis.enquiries@wlv.ac.uk. I would love to see that. Okay. Now I'm going to do another video next week. So in the meantime, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye.